Alright, so we got two more, H and I. H. It's the never-ending problem. H says, how much foot-pounds of torque? How much foot-pounds of torque? Foot-pounds of torque is this Y. So it's basically saying how much Y, how much will the Y be when the engine is 3 RPMs? How much will Y be when the engine is 3 RPMs? So do we know X or do we know Y? We know X. What that's really telling us is X equals 3. So really it's just telling us to take that number, plug it in, and get an answer. So let's go ahead and stick that number in. Y equals negative 3.25, parentheses, 3 minus 7.5, quantity squared plus 33. We're just taking that X equals 3, plugging it into the X position, doing some calculations, and seeing where it gets us. Now here's the problem, guys. If you screw up this part, you wouldn't be able to get any of these answers. You couldn't get the x-intercept right, and then you wouldn't be able to get this right if you made a math error over here. So this is highly critical of knowing how to do. Otherwise, none of these answers can be built. PEMDAS, Y equals negative 3.25. 3 minus 7.5 is going to be negative 4.5. Quantity squared plus 33. Okay, get that squared. That's going to be Y equals negative 3.25, parentheses, a negative times a negative is positive, and then that 4.5 squared is 20.25 plus 33. Multiply before you add. It's going to turn back to a negative 65.8125 because you're multiplying by a negative 3.25. You're still adding 33. And then you get Y equals negative 32.8125 as your math answer there. Okay, so here's the deal. What does Y mean? Y, if you remember, was about torque. Okay, so that is going to be pounds feet, whatever that means. My guess is that probably doesn't make any sense to have a negative torque, but I don't know anything about bikes or whatever, so I'm just going to put the word and move on and let somebody who's an expert in the area say that probably doesn't make sense as an answer. I don't know because I don't do it. But that's H because Y means that. And then I. Okay, I is asking, give a reason why this graph does not reach an engine speed of 11. This seems kind of like an awkward answer. I don't know, but let's look at the picture. Okay, so here's 9, here's 10, and 11 would be over here somewhere. If I were to look at this graph appears to be going like this. Okay, why does it not get to 11? I don't know a lot about cars and bikes and everything else, but I do know that if the RPMs get too high, the thing's going to stop working. Okay, it's the engine's going to burn out. So that probably means the graph falls short here because this is going to be engine burnout zone. Like, you know, like on the car odometer RPM, there's always like the red bar when the RPM gets too high. So this over here, because it's dying off, I'm going to assume is engine burnout. I don't know a lot about cars and bikes, but I do know that. And so that seems like a reasonable thing for why it wouldn't reach 11. So we'll just go ahead and jot something like that down. When the RPMs get too high, the engine could burn out. All right, we finally finished that problem.